In today's show, I'll be breaking down the latest Bitcoin, technical analysis as Bitcoin plunges $3,000 in just 2 hours on the 15th anniversary of Genesis Day. So happy Bitcoin Genesis Day. Also in today's show, we'll be discussing the latest with over $1 billion of Bitcoin futures, open interest wiped out in a single candle. We can thank Matrixport for that. That's right. Also, in today's show, Matrixport founder says the dissemination of Bitcoin ETF report was beyond our control. We'll also be discussing a likely rejection or smooth sailing ahead as experts weigh in on the potential spot Bitcoin ETF. We'll also be discussing BlackRock expected to seed their ETF with 10 million worth of Bitcoin today, as well as 15 years and 90,000 Bitcoinaires. So congratulations to all my Bitcoin millionaires as wallets jump 300%. We'll also be discussing Saylor begins selling 216 million in MicroStrategy stocks for more Bitcoin. That's right, it's going up forever, Laura. Also in today's show, macro guru Alden says $100,000 Bitcoin would be disappointing for this bull market cycle. I'll be sharing her bullish target. We'll also be discussing PlanB, creator of the Bitcoin stock to flow model. He says we'll hit 100,000 in 2024 as Bitcoin starts the year off with fresh rallies. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more in today's show. Welcome, crypto fam. What it do? Happy Jan 3rd. It is 15 years of Bitcoin officially today. If you're new to the channel, be sure to smash that subscribe button to receive daily premium crypto news alerts every single day, just like this. And if you're new to the channel, also, you got to be sure to smash the like each and every episode. It helps get more eyeballs on the channel, and be sure to hit the bell icon to turn on all notifications. I greatly appreciate that. Today is pod episode number 1511. I'm your host, JV, and today is a very special day in Bitcoin. It's January 3rd, 2024. That's special because this is the 15-year anniversary since the Genesis block was released 15 years ago on this date, January 3rd. Wild, right? Now, also, it's the year of the halving, and there's so many bullish catalysts we're going to discuss. What up, Russell? Thanks for subbing to the #1 daily Bitcoin pod. Greatly appreciate your support, family. Let's kick it off with our market watch as we do each and every day. You can see everything is in the blood red pretty much right now. Bitcoin down 5% on the day, trading just above $42,800. We have Ether down 7%, Solana down almost 10%, and many of the alts wreck city, but they have been pumping like a mofo. So let's actually zoom out on the monthly to get a broader perspective. Bitcoin's still up 7% on the month. We have Solana up 55% on the month, BNB up 38%, Ether, very modest gain of 1%, XRP down on the month 7%, Cardano up 41%, and AVAX, the top gainer, I believe, up 68%-ish. And checking out coinmarketcap.com, let's get a refresh for the latest numbers. The market cap is at 1.63 trillion with 115 billion in volume for the past 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance at 51.2%, with the Ether dominance back on the decline at 16.3%. And checking out the top 100 crypto gainers of the past 24 hours. Let's see, SEI leading the pack again, up 13% in the day and a whopping 86% in the week. Arbitrum up 12% on the daily, trading just shy of $2. And Lido DAO up 7%, trading above $3.16. Below that, we got Blur, Akash, and Astar. And as I mentioned earlier, the majority of the alts are correcting and in the red. Now, checking out the crypto bubbles for a visual perspective, safe to say roughly 90% of the top 100 alts are in the red on the day, with just a handful in the green. And zooming out on the monthly, still impressive overall gains on the month, so keep that in mind. Some of these meme coins are up hundreds of percent still, with some of the top gainers being ICP, 186% gain for SEI, Aster, BitTorrent, HNT, all more than 100% gains. Now, checking out the Crypto Greed and Fear Index, we're still rated in greed. Today is a 70, just down a bit. We're probably going to drop back down tomorrow, I would imagine, after today's dumpage. Yesterday was a 71, last week a 73, and last month a 74 in greed. So there you have it, my crypto fam. What are you guys anticipating to happen next? Do you think we'll have a smooth recovery and start mooning once we get this ETF news? If not this week, then next week. Let me know your thoughts. Or do you think we'll correct? Do you think the FUD is real? But let's dive into the news because we do have a lot to cover. Everyone wants to know what's going on. Why is the market dumping? Let's break this baby down. Here's the latest Bitcoin TA. I'll read some of the headlines first because we have bonus stories to share because there's a lot going on. Bitcoin plunges 3,000 in just 2 hours on 15th anniversary of Genesis Day. And then another headline, Bitcoin ETF denial report did not cause the 8% Bitcoin price crash, according to this analysis. Then Clemente points out over $1 billion of Bitcoin futures open interest wiped out in one candle thanks to Matrixport. Look at that candle. And someone tweeted here at 6 a.m. Eastern, Bitcoin dropped from a high of 45.5. And we had a pump watch. We were watching it. Our target was 47. Then all of a sudden, we went to a low of 40,600. Did the ETF get denied? What caused this seemingly random move down? Answer, it has nothing more than coins moving from the weak leveraged traders to the stronger hands. So don't unload those biddies, fam. Now, Jared Tate put, how much did BlackRock pay to have this Bitcoin FUD ETF report released this morning? Like I said, blatant market manipulation by the big guys. And that was off the back of the Cointelegraph article. BlackRock anticipated to acquire 10 million worth of Bitcoin January 3rd, which is today. So interesting. Is this all a big coincidence? What are your thoughts? Now, did you know, it actually gets interesting when we get into the conspiracy theories. Jian Wu, founder of ASIC manufacturer Bitmain and infamous proponent of big blocks during Bitcoin's block size wars, is also the co-founder of Matrixport, the firm that put out today's SEC Rejection FUD. So things are heating up and getting very interesting, which is going to lead us to this story. Matrixport founder says dissemination of Bitcoin ETF report was beyond our control. Yeah, I mean, and also, was this likely a rejection or smooth sailing as the experts weigh in on the potential spot Bitcoin ETF? That's just a glimpse of some of the stuff we're going to touch upon. Also, BlackRock seeding their ETF today with $10 million. Bitcoinaires, congratulations to all my Bitcoinaires as Bitcoin millionaire wallets jump over 300%. Yeah, I mean, Saylor begins selling 216 million worth of MicroStrategy stocks for a personal Bitcoin stash. He's going to keep buying. Macro guru Lynn Alden says 100 Gs would be a disappointment for this cycle. She shares her bullish target. We'll also be discussing the latest from PlanB, creator of the Bitcoin stock to flow the stock to flow model, predicting we hit 100,000 here in 2024 as Bitcoin starts the year off with fresh rallies. But let's start with our TA here, family. Lots to cover. Welcome everyone just joining us. The show is already lit. Over 1,000 people on the live stream. Appreciate that, family. So here we go. The original Bitcoin or crypto Bitcoin experienced sudden massive sharp outflows on the 15th anniversary of its Genesis Day. Happy Genesis Day, fam. Erasing most of its gains over the past 30 days. Bitcoin tumbled below 42 Gs this morning, January 3rd, losing at least 3,000 of value in just 2 hours, according to data from CoinGecko. On CoinMarketCap, Bitcoin dropped as low as 40,700, but we're recovering. We're already back at roughly 43, so it's all good. These dips are going to be very short-lived, in my opinion. What do you think? Bitcoin is currently trading closer to 43, down nearly 6% of the past 24 hours. The crypto is also down 1.5% over the past 14 days, but we're still in the green for the past 30 days, as I pointed out. The sharp drop, which you can see here in this chart, this is a 24-hour price chart, in the price action came as digital financial services platform Matrixport retracted its recent forecast that the US SEC would potentially approve the first Bitcoin ETF in January of 2024. In fact, that was one of our stories in yesterday's pod. They were predicting we hit 50,000 in January due to the ETF approval. And now they just retracted that entire sentiment. Can you say FUD, family? Now, Matrixport took to Twitter on the 1st to express confidence the Bitcoin would surge to 50 Gs, which we covered, driven by factors like imminent Bitcoin spot ETF approval. You know what imminent means, right? Immediately, incoming. The firm also stated that a potential spot Bitcoin ETF approval could be announced even ahead of the most traders' expectations for approval on the 8th, the 9th, or the 10th. I mean, it don't lie. Right here, January 1st on X, anticipate a substantial Bitcoin surge to 50,000 in January, driven by an imminent Bitcoin spot ETF approval, institutional buying, and factors such as supply shortage and historical trends with potential for altcoin season and a funding rate reaching over 66%. Extremely bullish, right? So just a day after issuing a forecast on possible approvals in 2024, Matrixport has made a U-turn on its prediction, updating its forecast on January 2nd to claim the SEC will now reject all the spot Bitcoin ETFs in January, and that the spot Bitcoin ETF approvals won't come before Q2 of this year. This is potentially why we dumped today $3,000 just like that in 2 hours. You can thank Matrixport. Now, Bitcoin investor Alistair Malay noticed that Matrixport was founded by Jihan Wu, the Chinese billionaire crypto entrepreneur and co-founder of the crypto mining firm Bitmain. Industry analyst James Van Straten noted that Wu is a prominent supporter of Bitcoin Cash. Oh no. A hard fork of Bitcoin created in 2017. That may explain everything, family. Quoting him here, if anyone believes anything that Matrixport publishes, I have a bridge to sell you. Well, there you go. That's not a good look. Some major spot Bitcoin ETF observers have also reacted to the news. We have heard nothing to indicate anything but approval, but I want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, so I am asking if he has any sources or just speculating, said Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric Balchunas. To be clear, though, not saying rejection outright impossible, he later wrote, but we have heard nothing to indicate that. So the only source that we're hearing that no ETF is being approved this quarter is coming from none other than Matrixport, which seems extremely sus. What are your thoughts on that? And we're going to continue. I'm going to share some more regarding what's going on here. Let's see if we get some more insights. An ETF would certainly enable crypto overall to take off. And based on Gensler's comments in December of 2023, he still sees this industry in need for more stringent compliance. It stated, from a political perspective, there is no reason to approve a Bitcoin spot ETF that would legitimize Bitcoin as an alternative store value. I mean, the ball is clearly in Gensler's court right now, no pun intended, but let me know if you feel Gensler's going to do the right thing and give us the green light. Here's what some of the traders have to share. The Wolf of Wall Street, Scott Melker, this is the reason for the dump. I put reason in quotes because this is really just a leverage flush. Regardless, this is an opinion with zero new information that flies in the face of everything shared by experts. And this is the FUD submitted by Matrixport. I don't want to even give them any more time or day there, but very interesting. I know people are desperate for a narrative, but Bitcoin didn't sell off because of some silly report about an ETF denial, says Joe Carlasar. He says it sold off because nothing goes straight up and it's an easy grab for liquidity to do a long squeeze. In short, the market was overbought. What are your thoughts on that? Now, if there is any denial by the SEC, we would see cascading liquidations as we expect most of the $5.1 billion in additional perpetual long Bitcoin futures to be unwound. We can see Bitcoin prices declining by 20% very quickly and falling back to the $36,000 to $38,000 range. That's if the FUD was actually real. Now, we're all highly sus and skeptical, but I'd love to know your thoughts, family. And as I mentioned earlier, over $1 billion Bitcoin futures open interest were wiped out as a result. Let me know your thoughts. JTS, thank you for subbing to the #1 daily Bitcoin pod. Greatly appreciate your family. Yeah, and I think I had a bonus story I wanted to share with you, and that's coming from Matrixport. I'm going to cover this. This is a bonus. Matrixport founder says the dissemination of Bitcoin ETF report was beyond our control. So yeah, I don't believe this guy whatsoever. Jihan Wu, founder of Bitcoin mining company BitDeer and crypto financial services firm Matrixport, said the widespread dissemination of the report claiming the Bitcoin exchange-traded funds may not be approved in January was not planned by Matrixport and is beyond our control. On January 3rd, the price of Bitcoin dumped by $3,000 in a matter of like 2 hours. Now, here's what he has to share, the researchers. The current 5-person voting commission leadership critical for the ETF approval of the SEC is dominated by Democrats. The SEC chair, Gary Gensler, is not embracing crypto in the United States, and it might even be a very long shot to expect that he would vote to approve the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Now, in response to the ongoing market volatility, Wu stated that Matrixport analysts operate independently, expressing their opinions without any influence or interference from management. Yeah, okay. The founder also shrugged off the claims that the Matrixport report derailed the price of Bitcoin. Okay, buddy. Come on now. So he's saying it's all just a big coincidence. What do you guys think? Looking at Bitcoin's history and the future prospects, the current volatility and the potential approval uncertainty of the Bitcoin ETF in January of 2024 are ultimately of no importance, said Wu. In my opinion, the approval of the spot ETF by the SEC, which will attract fresh investment into Bitcoin, is inevitable. So what do you think about that, family? Let me know your thoughts. And likely a rejection or a smooth sailing. Experts weigh in on the prospects of this ETF being approved. Let me know your thoughts, family. Are we going to see an approval here this week potentially? If not this week, then by next week. Don't sell your biddies, because that's what the mainstream wants you to do. Keep holding on tight. HODL be thy name. That's one of the original 10 commandments in the Old Testament by Satoshi. Thou shalt not sell, thou shalt HODL. HODL be thy name. So there you go. Now let's discuss BlackRock seeding their ETF, but we're also going to discuss the likelihood of this ETF being approved sooner than later. When I say sooner than later, by the end of next week. So here's what's going on. I like to share the recent ongoing from the experts themselves. So here's what they have to share. Despite frequent meetings between ETF apps and the SEC staff leading to refiled apps, we hold a contrarian view, asserting that all proposals fall short of a critical requirement for SEC approval, likely resulting in rejection in January. Now, I believe this was the Matrixport. Let me just make sure here. This was submitted by Marcus Thielen. This is actually coming from a report. Yeah, but I want to see what the ETF experts have to say. So here's what Marcus Thielen says. My report is not based on issuer nor on SEC insider comments. Obviously, this is massively out of consensus. I do think the SEC will vote it down. And yes, after being the biggest bull all year, predicted 45,000 by Christmas, February 1st, I turned bearish today, but the argument was ready. So he disagrees with Balchunas and Seyfart that are sticking with their at least 90% probability of the approval. Now, another thing shared here, I expect multiple approvals on January 10th, says James Murphy, founder of Ludlow Street Advisors. The SEC shot all their bullets against Grayscale. The court would very likely find the SEC's new reason for potential rejection pretextual, reject it, and I would think that sanctions against the SEC lawyers could be in play. The SEC has never approved the spot Bitcoin ETF product for listing and trading on a U.S. exchange, despite many apps from asset managers in the previous years. And then we know BlackRock kicked it off, and then we have now 13 different major asset managers awaiting that approval and the green light. So yeah, so the bears are basically this guy Thielen and also crypto trading platform Matrixport, who are highly skeptical we get the approval anymore, but everyone else is still bullish, including the top experts, Seyfart and Balchunas, who I would give more credit to because they're ETF experts who work for Bloomberg. But what are your thoughts, fam? Let me know. And now we'll dive into our next story of the day. BlackRock expected to seed the ETF with 10 million worth of Bitcoin. Here we go. BlackRock, as we know, is the world's largest asset manager and the front runner in the race to issue the first Bitcoin ETF, expects to purchase 10 million worth of Bitcoin today, according to analysts, the same day as the Genesis 15-year anniversary. Let's go. December 23rd, market analyst Seyfart posted highlighting BlackRock's intentions to seed the ETF with its plan to purchase, as he outlined right here on X. Before this, seed movements do not mean launch, looking like BlackRock is planning to make moves on January 3rd. They're seeding the ETF with 10 mil, but maybe means BlackRock would be expecting a launch to happen shortly after. Now, is it all a big coincidence that the market crashes the same day they're seeding their ETF? What are your thoughts on that? Seyfart followed up with a post by saying the document that mentions the Bitcoin purchase is not final, approved, or effective, though the purchase would jive with our January approval prediction. He said the injection of capital wouldn't necessarily mean the launch of the ETF, but that BlackRock would be expecting a release shortly after. Send it. And according to Seyfart, the inclusion of the January 3rd date is just teasing, and he drew a parallel to the date being that of the Genesis block of Bitcoin. So yeah, happy Genesis block day, family. In late December, Balchunas, another Bloomberg analyst, posted about the anticipated purchase on January 3rd, saying that BlackRock's 10 million purchase would be a pretty big bump from its initial 100,000 seed funding back in October. I think that's 100x right? Correct me if I'm wrong there, or is that 20x actually? Let me know. BlackRock expecting to seed iBit with 10 million on January 3rd. Notable the date that it is pretty big bump up from the 10,000 they initially seeded with. Balchuna has also posted about the Bitwise S1 being filed that intends to seed Bitwise's pending Bitcoin spot ETF with 200 million, which he said blows away what BlackRock plans to purchase. That's going to be a huge help in the early days of the race. No AP name, but probably forthcoming. And while Jan 3rd has been predicted as the date for BlackRock's purchasing its seed funding, there have also been multiple alternative reports stating the date has been pushed back to January 5th, which would be Friday. Both dates are still speculative. Now, Cointelegraph reached out to BlackRock for further info on the matter, and guess what? They never responded. I wonder why. The US SEC set the deadline for the amendments to Bitcoin spot ETF apps on December 29th, in which BlackRock, VanEck, Valkyrie all filed their last-minute amendments. The SEC's decision on the ETF is anticipated by analysts to be announced by January 10th, 2024. So there you have it. My crypto fam, how do you think this is likely to play out? And do you think we're going to get that green light? We still have so much freaking content to show and share. We're just getting started, baby. So let's just kick it into our next story of the day. And yeah, let's discuss Bitcoinaires increasing by 300%. Congratulations to all my Bitcoinaires and all my Satoshi-heirs. Everyone here should at least by minimal be a Satoshi-heir, which means owning 1 million Satoshis. Now, Bitcoin may have made upward of 100,000 US dollar millionaires as it enters its 16th year. Wow. Now, happy sweet 16. Data shows that the number of wallets containing Bitcoin worth at least 1 million is up nearly 300% since the start of 2023. Let's go. Bitcoin is now the 9th most valuable asset in the world as it celebrates its 15th birthday. 15 years to the day that the Genesis block was mined. That's what's up. Bitcoin has a market cap of roughly 900 billion. The past year has marked a renaissance for the Bitcoin hodlers, with Bitcoin emerging from a pit of its longest ever bear market to gain 160% in USD terms. Not too shabby. So congratulations on my Bitcoin hodlers. Now, per on-chain analytics firm Glassnode, Bitcoin millionaires number more than 91,000, measured as unique addresses with a balance of at least $1 million. The tally, while not yet at an all-time high as seen in November of 2021, is still nearly 4 times higher than on January 3rd, 2023. So we're literally much higher than we were a year ago. Let us not forget that Bitcoin is the 9th most valuable asset in the world, and in less than 15 years, it surpassed 7,963 other assets. To accomplish this, that's what's up. Now, by the end of 2025, I suspect it'll be in the top 3. We shall see. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that sentiment. And what are some of the assets more valuable than Bitcoin right now? I'm actually intrigued to know. The numbers have clear implications for existing Bitcoiners and were not lost on the industry's household names. Quoting Tor Demister here, even today, Bitcoinaires are 10 times more scarce than millionaires. It's just the world doesn't think about this yet. Good point. And just running the math, not even half the millionaires on planet Earth will be able to say their Bitcoin whole coiners family. Keep that in mind. Now, given its fixed immutable supply of 21 million units, several million of which are considered irretrievably lost, Bitcoin faces a supply squeeze in the making should more of the world's roughly, $60 million millionaires decide to increase exposure. Now, according to a survey from investment migration consultancy firm Henley & Partners from September of last year, there could be another 40,500 people whose million-dollar wealth is held in BTC, quoting them here. We have seen a significant spike in inquiries from crypto millionaires over the past 6 months who are looking to build a viable plan B to protect themselves against any potential future bans on the trading or use of crypto in their countries and to allay the risks of aggressive fiscal policies that tax digital assets at source, said the CEO, Dr. Jurog Stefan, who told private banking news service Wealth Briefing at the time. He also added that as of September, there appeared to be just 6 Bitcoin billionaires. That's it. Who do you think those 6 people are? I'm going to throw Max Kaiser out there first and foremost. Now, let me know your thoughts. Meanwhile, whole coiners, those unique addresses containing at least 1 Bitcoin, now number more than 1 million for the first time, according to Glassnode. So congratulations to all my whole coiners. There's now 1 million addresses out there that hold 1 coin, which means there's way less than 1 million actual whole coiners, because I bet you many of those people have multiple addresses if you do the math. But congratulations, keep stacking them stats, because we're a rare breed, family. But anyways, fam, still a lot of news to cover. So let's dive into our next story of the day, discuss the latest with the Giga Chat himself, Michael Saylor. Here's the headline. Michael Saylor begins selling 216 million in MicroStrategy stocks for more Bitcoin. MicroStrategy executive chairman Saylor began a 4-month process of selling 216 million, which, that's pretty lit, of his shares in his firm MicroStrategy, previously stating part of it would be used to buy more Bitcoin. And in a January 2nd filing with the US SEC, Saylor disclosed that he had already started selling his 315,000 stock options awards, first granted to him in April of 2014. The awarded stock options expire on April 30th, 2024. And according to the filing, Saylor began the process on January 2nd, yesterday, selling his first tranche of 5,000 shares. Now, in MicroStrategy's third quarter earnings call, November 2nd, Saylor said he planned to sell 5,000 MSTR shares daily for the next 4 months. Every day for the next 4 months. That's what the Giga Chat's doing. 120 days straight. Let's go. Which will go into addressing personal obligations and increasing the amount of Bitcoin he personally owns. Exercising this option will allow me to address personal obligations as well as acquire additional Bitcoin to my personal account, said Saylor on the call. I actually listened to the call. They shared it on X. Let me know if you guys watched it. And added to that stake in his company's equity, it remains significant despite his personal sales. And according to a November 1st Q10 filing with the SEC, Saylor can sell a maximum of 400,000 shares of his vested options between January 2nd and April 26th of this year. And while Bitcoin enjoyed an impressive 170% rally from the start of last year, MicroStrategy has outperformed the asset by more than double, gaining 411% over the course of the past year per TradingView data. And on December 27th, MicroStrategy purchased an additional 14,620 biddies for 615 million. The purchase saw MicroStrategy's total Bitcoin holdings grow to a staggering 189,150 Bitcoin, worth roughly $8.5 billion at the current prices. And I don't think he is slowing down clearly anytime soon. And you start running the math. MicroStrategy already controls roughly 1% of the circulating Bitcoin supply. I've also heard him share, and Max also confirmed it. He said, as per his source at MicroStrategy, that MicroStrategy is looking to acquire 5% of the circulating Bitcoin supply, which means they're looking to buy another 1 million Bitcoin. Let that sink in. Cheers, Leslie Thompson. I appreciate the super. Peter Schiff thinks the ETF will crash Bitcoin. What's next? First and foremost, never listen to Peter Schiff. It's like taking advice from Jim Cramer. You know what I mean? Why would you take advice from the man who missed out on the best investment in human history and purposely decides to be ignorant and never capitulate regardless? He trusts gold that much. This guy, right? Max has been telling Peter about Bitcoin since it was $1. And he just passed on it, and he continues to pass on it. Bitcoin will eventually be 100,000, and he'll be fudding it and passing on it. It'll eventually hit 1 million, and he'll tell you how stupid the people are who got in when you got in that are now millionaires. You know what I mean? That's Peter Schiff for you. But anyways, we still got more news to share. We just covered the latest with Saylor. Now let's discuss the latest from Lynn Alden. She says a $100,000 target this cycle would be a disappointment. So let's break down her $2,000 price prediction, and then we'll discuss a 1 million, or I should say 100,000 to 1 million price prediction as per stock to flow model and PlanB and the latest updates from him. So here's the headline. Macro guru Lynn Alden says 100,000 Bitcoin would be disappointing for the bull market cycle. Here's her target. Yeah, in an interview on What Bitcoin Did Pod, Alden says that the rise or fall of global liquidity is a solid indicator of Bitcoin cycles. While Alden stresses the correlation between liquidity and BTC, she notes that the metric does not offer any indication as to how high or low the Bitcoin price can go. Quoting her here, Bitcoin is highly correlated with liquidity in terms of direction, but there is very little way to judge a price from it. It is not really useful for magnitude, so it is not one of those stock to flow models where you can say, okay, at this date, it should be this price. I think that's a lot of that, which it is really hard to judge. Alden predicts that a spectrum of 2024-2025 will be positive for liquidity and positive for risk on assets like BTC. She goes on to lay out a scenario where Bitcoin rallies by about 340% from the current prices before the end of 2025. Quoting her here, my base case expectation is for new all-time highs, hopefully over 100 Gs, so hopefully six figures, but then literally that range is entirely reasonable. I'd actually be hesitant to guess where that ends up. I think that something like $100,000 plus would be kind of disappointing for a bull market cycle, especially after the prior bull market cycle was on the disappointing end too. Now, so I kind of hope for 200,000 or more over the next 2+ years. So there you go. Let me know if you agree or disagree with this prediction from Lynn Alden. And watch this interview she recently did on the What Bitcoin pod. Check the show notes below the video. Here is the latest with the stock to flow model. And FYI, if you're new to the stock to flow, it ultimately predicts the price hovering between 100,000 per coin and 1 million per coin between the years 2024 post-halving, which is here in April of this year, and by the year 2028. So I know that's a wide gap, but nonetheless, here's the latest from PlanB, creator of the Bitcoin stock to flow model. The widely followed on-chain analyst PlanB says he's confident the Bitcoin will breach the six-figure mark this year. On X, this anonymous analyst reveals to his followers a set of forecasts for this year, which he says haven't changed since late 2022 during the depths of the bear market. Quoting him here, one of his predictions is that we will hit $100,000 in 2024. This is the actual tweet. My forward guidance for 2024 has not changed from October 6, 2022, when Bitcoin was 20,000. See below, a rise into the April 2024 halving, precisely what we have witnessed, having around stock to flow model value 55,000, a range of 30 to 100,000, and lo and behold, we're not too far from that level. A pump after the halving, which we always see after the halvings. We will hit $100,000 in 2024. Let me know if you feel we'll see a six-figure price action this year. And he also says stock to flow target value, $532,000 per coin on average, with a range now between 250,000 and 1 million. That's what's up. So it looks like they upped it. Not just 100K to a mil no more, but a $250,000 to 1 mil. Send it and let's go. And here you're looking at the infamous Bitcoin stock to flow model. PlanB is also known for applying his own versions of the stock to flow, originally used on traditional commodities, to Bitcoin. And based on the stock to flow, PlanB says he's anticipating that Bitcoin will approach the $500,000 mark at some point in the next several years, potentially 2025. Quoting him again, Bitcoin 2023 close, 42,258, up 156% from 16,500 back in 2022, which was the low, and ready for the ETFs and the halvings in 2024. Let me know if you're ready. And in 2021, PlanB expected a higher price than where Bitcoin ultimately topped out. While he admits his price models may have overshot the mark back then, the analyst says he is still confident that over time, the general forecast of the stock to flow models will play out, and Bitcoin will see much higher prices in the coming years. So there you have it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with this stock to flow model that will be hovering between $250,000 and $1 million per coin between 2024 and 2028. And where do you feel we'll reach our cycle peak? Let me know your thoughts in the comments right down below. I greatly appreciate that, family.